Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about how to make this beautiful X decrease for our hat crown. This is a nice and simple baby hat that we made earlier, and we just used a simple 1x1 ribbing and then a straight stockinette body, because in this case the feature of the hat is going to be this beautiful crown. So let's jump right in and get right to it. So you're going to want to grab 4 of these little loop stitch markers, and we are going to place them on our hat around this row. Now you can use these locking stitch markers as well if you like. They're a little bit more like a safety pin. Once they're closed, that works as well, but it's up to you whether or not you want to use those. You can insert them and then close up the loop. That'll work just as well. I am going to insert my 4 stitch markers around the row. Now we used 70 stitches on our hat, so halfway is going to be 35, and then we want to be around 17 and then another 17 from the center 52 from the center around to this third side over here. We're going to count our way around, insert at the halfway point, which is 35, and then we're going to add our 17 and our 52. Then we are going to start knitting. So when we make our decreases, we're going to decrease 2 stitches side by side, keeping a lifted one in the center on either side of our stitch marker. So now we are going to go ahead and knit our first row of decreases. Now keep in mind, we only decrease on every second row, not on every single row. For our first decrease, we're going to use our simple knit 2 together. So we need 2 stitches to decrease. So I'm going to pick up the last stitch from the end of the previous row. Now we have our 2 stitches that we're going to knit 2 together. So we insert our needle, wrap the yarn around the back, and then bring our needle back through and loop it off. Now we're going to slip our stitch marker, and now we're going to, we slip the first one knitwise, like we're going to knit the stitch, slip it over to the right. Now we're going to insert this way for the second, slip it off, and then bring our left needle back in through the front, yarn around, and finish off our stitch. Now, if you guys need help with these decreases, I did a decrease video and I will link that in the description below. If you may notice, we just did this slip slip purl knit as opposed to the slip slip knit, and I do explain why in that previous video. And now we're going to knit over to the next marker. If you guys want, this will be listed in the blog post, the exact pattern for this hat decrease. And now we have our 2 stitches just before our marker, so keep in mind you want to stop before you get there. Now we're going to knit our 2 together, slip our stitch marker, and now we're going to slip knitwise, slip purlwise, insert back through the front, and then finish by knitting our stitch together. Knit, and now we are here back to our next stitch marker. Okay, so I stopped again 2 stitches before the end. Now we're going to knit these 2 together, slip one knitwise, slip the second purlwise, insert our left needle back in through the front, and finish by knitting the stitch. Let's keep going. It's really humid here today, so I'm feeling my wood needles are a little sticky. So here we are again, next stitch marker. So we knit 2 together right before it, insert knitwise, insert purlwise, back through, wrap the yarn around the back, and pull it back. If you guys are unsure what I'm doing with my yarn here, this is continental knitting. It is just a method of knitting faster, which is also available in another video, which I will link below as well if you guys want to see that. All right, so that's the end of our row, and so now we are going to knit all the way around. So let's keep going, and then we're going to do another decrease row after that. Okay, so we will jump ahead and be back in just a moment with our next decrease row. And as we get down in our knit stitch sizing, as the crown of our hat gets smaller, we're going to have to switch over to our double pointed needles as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. When you start to get too tight on your needles, you can switch over to double pointed. So if needed, you can also use a different color. See, I used all blue for my stitch markers. If you wanted, you could add a different color to the one at the end of the row, so that way it reminds you when you get to the end of the row that you are starting a different row. All right, so here we are again, end of the row. Well, these were just available on Amazon, and so we're going to switch over to a purple just to remind us where the end of our row should be. or just use a different one. Like you can use one of these little rings to indicate the end of the row, just anything that's different. If you have this little set here that I got this one from Michaels, and it came with these larger ones as well. So there's large rings and small rings. So that would work as well for indicating the end of the row. Whatever you gotta do, just make sure there's one, just do one different. So we're gonna slip the one knitwise, slip it purlwise, insert back, and wrap our yarn around and bring it through. So we're gonna follow our stitch markers around for our next decrease row the same way that we did our first row. So continue working like so around your hat and doing one row of, straight knits, no decreases, and one row of decreases until you get to around 10 stitches or so on your hat. I'm gonna leave this one to you guys to go ahead and finish off. Now, if you are making a child's hat or a lady's hat and you wanna make a ponytail hat, you're gonna want a little bit more. So maybe somewhere around the neighborhood of say 25 stitches, and then you're gonna cast off instead of just cinching up your hat top like I showed in the crown hat video. So let's go ahead and continue working the decreases of our hat. I will be back in just a moment. All right, so here we are with our finished hat. As you guys can see, we have our neat decreases happening here. This will show the finished hat crown. We have a great stockinette with a really fun X crown. This turns into our feature of the hat. It would look so, so cute. This one, because it's done in this like kind of simple gray, would be like a really cute kind of like more masculine hat and is just really, really fun. So I hope you guys like this one. If you do, go ahead and hit that like button. Join us on our journey because we are going into a lot of awesome patterns and techniques and stitches over the next little while. So join us. And if you guys like what we're doing here, then go ahead and click this video on the screen because it's one you're definitely going to want to watch next. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you in the next one.